You're listening to the Wordslinger Podcast, episode 134, A Fit Writing Career with Dale Roberts. This episode of the Wordslinger Podcast is brought to you by Draft to Digital. Convert your manuscript, distribute it online, and get support the whole way at drafttodigital.com.
It's the Wordslinger Podcast, where story matters. Build your brand, write your book, redefine who you are. It's all about the story here. What's yours? Now, here's the guy who invented pants optional, Kevin Tomlinson, the Wordslinger.
Wordslinger.
Hey everybody, this is Kevin Tomlinson, the Wordslinger, a very tired Wordslinger at the moment. We have, if you have been following any of the activity from Draft to Digital, from the interwebs in general, some major announcements this past week. We had, first of all, Pronoun kind of dropped a bomb on everybody. The Macmillan-owned distribution aggregator, we'll say, very similar to Draft to Digital in a lot of ways. They actually announced that they are shutting down as of January. I think it's January 15th. In January, at any rate, they're going to be shutting their doors, shutting down that program at least. I don't think Macmillan's shutting any doors anytime soon. But that was a big shocker to a lot of authors. A lot of authors were kind of depending on Pronoun for distribution to Google Play, for example. But also for their special sort of grandfather deal they had with Amazon, which allowed them to offer like a bigger royalty on books priced at $2.99, etc. Sad, actually. I've met Justin Renard. I actually like him quite a bit. He was the marketing director he was my counterpart at Pronoun. I've met several people who work for that division of Macmillan. And they're all really good people, so I'm kind of praying that they get new opportunities, maybe some great opportunities within Macmillan itself. I know Justin in particular seemed like he was very enamored with working with Macmillan, so I think I'm hoping something really great happens for those guys. And I know there's been a lot of jokes about dancing on the grave of the company, but it's really not like that. You know, Draft to Digital, we don't really feel there's no like competition there. Everybody in this space has a little bit something different to offer, which is what I've said frequently all along, and so there's not really competition there. It's interesting to hear people kind of bring that up, but honestly, there's room in this world for Smashwords, for Draft to Digital, for companies like Pronoun. But, you know, Pronoun had a business. Well, actually, I was going to say it had a business model. I don't think it had a business model. I think that's what happened. I think ultimately there was no way for the company to make money. They didn't have a plan for making money with that division, that group. And so they were mining it for data, and no one really knows what useful data they could have gotten out of that experience. But, you know, Macmillan, they're smart guys. They probably figured it out. But on the heels of that big announcement came on Monday. And then Tuesday, we at Draft to Digital went and announced that we have acquired Amazon as a partner for our distribution channels. So we actually can now distribute books to Amazon. Despite what a lot of people have stated and believe, the two had nothing to do with each other. It was purely coincidental. I was literally editing the announcement email in ActiveCampaign when I heard the news that Pronoun had shut down. So it was just a pure coincidence. A very handy one. Now, people have asked about Amazon. You know, there's a whole blog post which you're welcome to check out. It's live right now. The live post right now at drafttodigital.com. Just search for Amazon in the search bar. You'll find it. But if it's not there live, but basically, you know, we offer them as a distribution channel, but we're not offering any of the things that Pronoun was offering. It's been an interesting thing to see the reaction from some authors. Some were just irate that we're not offering the 70% royalty. One author said, well, I will do it if you will not just offer the 70%, but beat it and give me 75. I'm like, what is your what negotiating power do you believe you have here? So, I mean, we're doing the best we can to offer some remarkable services. We don't have a grandfathered traditional publishing deal with Amazon. We can't get you those kind of things. But that's, we're constantly working and growing that service among others. There are some advantages to going with us. I won't go into too much detail about this. This isn't the Draft to Digital show, as much as people may believe it is. It is kind of. It's basically the Draft to Digital show. But just the long and short of this, if you were an author at Pronoun and you're looking for a safe harbor, Draft to Digital really is going to be your best bet. I know I'm biased. I will admit to being biased. But come on. And I'm happy to answer questions. And if you don't go with us, that's fine. There's no, you can even still use our free tools and services and go with someone else if you want. That's fine. That's just how we are. Anyway, in our business, by the way, completely in the black. We're a privately owned company. We don't owe anybody any money. We don't have to report to anybody. We offer a lot of stuff for free, but the way we make our money, we have an actual business model, and we make our money through distribution. So if you don't distribute through us, we don't make any money. But we have lots of authors who enjoy the perks and benefits of being a part of our service, and they distribute their books through us, and we do pretty well. And we're not in any danger of going anywhere. So that was one of the questions that kind of came up, like, what happens? Well, if Pronoun can go under, maybe everyone can go under. Well, no, it's not necessarily true. Pronoun, actually, I don't think you can think of Pronoun as going under. I think they were acquired for basically in the name of innovation and data. Macmillan ran the program for a year to use it to get that data, and now it's run its course. You can only run things as a loss leader for so long unless you're Amazon. You can do it, permanently if you choose. But that's the way it works. So anyway, those were the big announcements. That took almost 8 minutes to tell you about, and I hope you were fascinated by it. Lots of things going on. I'm happy to answer questions. Hop on over to, hop into Twitter if you'd like. You can get on Twitter and follow me at Kevin Tomlinson or the show at WordslingerPod. To ask me any questions, send something my way. You can also find me on Facebook. Lots of things going on. I just produced the. If you're not following already, if you're not a subscriber already, hop on over to YouTube and find the show, Wordslinger Podcast on YouTube. And I believe it's the short link is bit.ly/Wordslinger Podcast. I believe is the link. If that's wrong, you'll find the right one in the show notes. I really should have that in front of me just in case. In fact, while I'm chatting, I'll go and take a look and make sure I've got that right. But you're going to want to subscribe to that because the video content is kind of cool. I'm planning to roll out I'll be rolling out some new things here and there as I go. That was the correct link, by the way, bit.ly/Wordslinger Podcast. That'll take you to the YouTube channel where you can subscribe. And click the little bell icon. That'll let you know when there's new episodes up. The video portion of the show is a lot more work than the audio portion. So it's taking me some time to get my feet under me with that. But if you're digging it, if you find it useful, please let me know. I want to gauge how well this is doing. I don't have a ton of subscribers on that channel yet, so spread the word for me if you will. Just go out and tell people you've got a new resource out there. But that's, it's going okay. I like it. We'll see how it turns out. There's been some suggestions from people who are much more proficient at this than I am, who are doing much better at it than I am. I'm just starting, but I'm going to take their advice. A lot of it is going to require more time than I have, so I'm going to have to figure out a way to make it work. So there we go. At any rate, lots more stuff going on. I'm still working on the wordslingerpodcast.com revamp. At this point, it's just a grueling process of getting all the old content onto the new site, and that's really the hang-up. And it's hundreds and hundreds of episodes, as you know. Each one has to be essentially customized for that page there. It's show notes and that sort of thing has to be customized for the the new layout. It's just taking some time. Patreon, same thing. It's just I don't have the time. I don't have the time to really jump into it, especially when I'm doing 100 interviews for Drafted Digital about Amazon and pronoun. So, well, all right. So today I'm actually chatting with Dale Roberts. You're gonna like Dale. Now here's some inside information. I actually interviewed him for the show once before, but it was just prior to me switching to the video content and doing my interviews on Zoom so that you could get the video side of this. So I had his interview. I even had some sort of behind the scenes stuff for the Wordslinger after show, which is something you'll hear about as I progress with my Patreon page. But it was all audio. And as Dale is a YouTube professional, YouTube content creator, I wanted to make sure that I presented him in the best light. So we went back, and he was gracious enough to redo the interview with me, and it went in a whole new direction. So the original interview I'm going to use as bonus content somewhere. So you're going to want to stick around and figure out, find out when that hits. As soon as I get everything kind of settled, it will be made available. I promise you. But until then, you're going to want to listen in on this interview. I think you'll enjoy Dale. He's a great character. He's a great guy. Very smart. He's got his stuff together, and I'm really kind of glad to watch what's happening with his YouTube channel and the work he's doing. He's a great resource for indie authors. So, and a good friend. He's a good friend of mine now. I'm enjoying a growing personal relationship with Dale. So I hope you enjoy this interview. Thanks for sticking through this 12-minute intro. And stick around afterwards. We'll do some housekeeping and announcements and that sort of thing. I'll see you on the other side. Hey, everybody. Thanks for tuning in. Okay, this is a rare circumstance because I actually have someone on the show who was technically on the show once before, but only as an audio interview. And since I've switched formats, I wanted to bring him back on because, he himself is a YouTube professional at this point. I'm talking to Dale Roberts. He's an author and a YouTube content creator and a growing close personal friend of mine at this point. Probably one of the biggest Drafted Digital fans I've seen online in a while. So
It's true, actually. And thanks for the friendship thing, man. I almost slightly wept there. But the question is, since I put together the Drafted Digital playlist, do I still get my kiss? Huh?
Oh, absolutely.
Huh?
Right on the lips, man. Right on the lips. We'll have to get together. We're gonna have to do some IRL type hanging out at some point. We're too similar not to, man. That's just all there's to it. We're gonna have to.
It's bound to happen, especially for as often as my wife and I travel about. Because it's funny. This profession, and I'm not talking about YouTube, I'm talking about indie publishing in general, has afforded me more things than I could have ever expected. You always kind of have these pipe dreams and you think to yourself, well, I'm going to make X amount of dollars per month so I can, live on my own terms. Right. It finally came to us over the past, year to 2 years. And my wife and I are kind of like, well, what do we do with it? Well, we don't want fancy cars. We don't need a mansion. We don't even need a fancy house. What we like to do is travel. And that's one of the nice things is if we feel like it, we just go, hey, you want to go visit Kevin Tomlinson? Yeah. Sure. Let's just book a trip and we'll go and do that. So for instance, next month, my mother, I just said, hey, would you like us to come visit you for the holidays? She said, yeah, sure. So of course we booked the flight and we're ready to go and visit my mom because why not?
Yeah. That's one of the things that has always appealed to me and to Kara about this flexibility. Now I'm working on getting her to be just as flexible, but we already travel quite a bit as it is, and that was kind of a I don't know. It was a phase of our life that we wanted to enter into, starting a few years back now. And it's been pretty incredible. And you gain so much from it, being able to travel like that, you pick up on so many new things, new resources, new friends, So.
Yeah, it's so interesting in the age that we're in and the technology that we have available and the instant gratification that we're allowed to. So building relationships on social media, be it Facebook, be it Twitter, or even things like YouTube. It's just so incredible. But you can't beat meeting a person in person. And that's one of the things I just really love. So not too long ago, I went out to Vid Summit in Los Angeles, and I got to meet many people that I had built relationships via the interwebs through video chats and through just, talking to each other. And it was so cool to be able to hug people and to be able to shake their hand and to be able to break bread with them. So it's just, there's something you just can't beat. The experience of traveling and meeting person to person and being able to kind of grow together. So, man, boy, we're already starting off into our rabbit trailing ways.
So we had you on. I'm not even going to attempt to remember any of the conversation we had before. I didn't bother going back and listening. I wanted this to be a fresh interview. So why don't we start just by talking about, you're an author and a YouTube creator, but tell me about the author side of your business at this point.
The author side of my business, primarily, I do a lot of heavy lifting in the fitness genre, health, fitness, and dieting underneath the Dale L. Roberts brand. And I got into this really based on just a whim, based on a challenge that was put out to me by my wellness coach at my 9-to-5 job that I had previously had, my last job, actually, to be straightforward. And I'd always wanted to be a writer since I was a kid, but I had always thought about fiction writing, not nonfiction.
Right.
And this wellness coach kept challenging me. She would say, okay, well, let's see if we can track your diet for the next month. Let's see if we can get you to do 1,000 squats at a time. And and eventually she's like, I can't challenge you anymore. She's like, what would be awesome is if you wrote a book about all the knowledge you have in health, fitness, and dieting and put it out there. And I said, yeah, and I think you probably can relate to this too, Kevin, where you get to the point where you say, I'm going to write a book.
Right.
But you just keep putting it off and you keep putting it off and you keep putting it off. Well, finally, when I get challenged and I accept the challenge, I almost get obsessed. I become just razor focused. So I got up every morning. I think it was easily for about 3 months straight for about an hour to 2 hours at a time before my wife would even be up. It was like 4 a.m. I'd be up. And I would crank out 2 hours of writing. I didn't know what I was doing. I was literally doing the Pantser methodology, which these days I'm a plotter. And I know it kind of sounds crazy coming from a nonfiction writing. What's that?
I don't hold it against you, man.
I'm glad you don't. One of my favorite writers, Stephen King, is a Pantser, and I love his writing. But I find that when I am a type of person that you got to kind of say, okay, here's what you need to do, and here are the steps that you can do it in. So that way I'm staying on task. As you can already tell, and I'm sure some of your viewers can tell, I've got some serious ADHD going on, and I don't medically take care of that. So setting things out and getting it in order in a list type fashion really helps me out. So that's why I'm a bit of a plotter. But the Pantser methodology got my first book done. And as some people would say, and I believe this holds true, your first book is always your worst book. And I got to say this, that book was awful. And for those of you that supported me and purchased the book, I want to say thank you for indulging me. And the fact that a lot of the people that actually got it overlooked the fact that, yeah, you ready for this? I didn't use an editor. It was awful. It was terrible. And as soon as I did my first book with editing, I could see the huge, huge difference between a book that you just throw out on the market and a book that's actually professionally done and has an editor that will go through and correct your mistakes and tell you where you have opportunities for growth. So that's how I got into the business. And you ready for this? Folks, don't do this. Don't do this. Don't just put in your 30-day notice at your job. By the way, this was an amazing job. It was a very, I wouldn't say cush job. It wasn't an easy job by any stretch, but I got to play with seniors for a living.
Yeah.
I was an activities director in an assisted living community, and I've been doing that job for nearly 20 years. That's right, getting to play with seniors, take them out shopping, go to movies, visit them room to room. There were so many things in that career that was amazing, and that allowed me that. And I just said, oh, wow, well, I can sell books. Mm-hmm. This will support us. So I literally put my 30-day notice without any proof, real proof of concept, and said, I'm going to become a writer. And there is the long way to kind of tell you the Reader's Digest version of my story.
Yeah. Yeah. No, it's funny because as soon as you have any sort of modicum of success in this business, your first instinct is to pull up stakes and and hit the road, basically. So that's good advice, really. But how did it work out? I mean, did you recover from your? I mean, you sort of leapt early, then you had to make it work.
Let's put it this way: I at least had a safety net. I had already had some savings set up. I had a 401k plan that I could use as a reserve. And already my wife was out of her job and was working on a very successful Amazon FBA business where she was sourcing products in different physical stores and sending them on in there. And that was doing really well. So I just said to her, look, while we're getting me up and rolling the self-publishing industry, why don't we do this? I'll help you out part-time. I'll do all your lackey stuff. I will essentially just be your assistant. So it was actually kind of a fun business at first. But eventually it became a little tiresome because there would be days we'd be out for 8 to 16 hours at a time going from store to store to store and sourcing these items. And in the meantime, I had to come back home and continue to try to write my next book and keep doing this. Well, as you can imagine, only having one book on the market, and I think I ended up trickling out 1 or 2 books thereafter and the year after, actually half year after. I think I fired off more into the second year, but in any event, it wasn't supporting us. And if I were to be really frank with you, when it came to paychecks, I would say I was lucky if I was breaking $200 to $300 per month.
Right.
It was really bad. So we got to the point of ramen noodles and frozen vegetables for every single meal.
Perfect. It was, someone who writes about health.
Right, exactly. And that was actually, it's funny. Did you talk to my wife? She used to, give me a hard time about the ramen noodles. And I was just like, what alternative do we have?
Yeah,
sure.
Yeah.
The Amazon FBA business was doing really well, but it was feast or famine. It's like being a real estate agent. Sure, sometimes you're going to have some great up months and then other months it's going to be down months. The problem is we weren't used to being entrepreneurs. So we were burning through money quicker than we were making it. So it got to the point where we kind of had to say, stop. All right, if we want this self-publishing business to work, we want this Amazon FBA business to work, we got to start managing our finances. We got to start looking at how to better ourselves. And I think it was into 2015 when I finally just threw my hands up. I was like, the self-publishing business, I want to do it. I want to make it work. And this is when I had reached out to Jason Brock. I found him through YouTube and have since become, good close friends. But at that time, he was heading out to Chicago for a Tony Robbins Unleash the Power Within a conference. And he said, who wants to meet us up here? And I'm like, yeah. So my wife and I flew out to Chicago, met him in person, and we sat with him for an entire day. And he was able to go through my catalog of books and say, okay, here's where you're going wrong, and here's your areas of improvement. And I said, I want you to coach me. And I just paid for him one-on-one sessions until finally he just got sick of it. And he's like, look, I like taking your money, but you don't have to keep paying me, man. And I asked him later, I'm like, why did you do that? He's like, well, you just ended up teaching me things eventually. Because once again, I'm an obsessive guy. And this is why I do the YouTube channel. And a lot of people are like, well, you're the smartest guy in self-publishing. I don't know about that. I'm just the most obsessive guy in self-publishing. I don't think you're going to find anybody else that is so passionate about this business and learning it and trying to perfect it and then spreading exactly what I've learned in the process.
Yeah. No, and by the way, the stuff that you put out there is very useful. Like I refer people to your channel quite a bit. So it's very, and that's kind of what I do. Like I find resources and connect people to resources. So thank you for having such a valuable resource for the indie publishers out there.
Well, I appreciate it too. It's funny. I think you and I function very much in the same aspect that we get joy out of delivering great, relevant content to people that are willing to learn.
Right.
And that's why. So I don't have an issue with networking. I've introduced you to numerous people, and of course people to you, and it's trying to grow this self-publishing community. And I believe that this business is awesome. And is it easy? No. But is it awesome? Absolutely. Anybody that wants to argue with me, hey, you're probably in the wrong business if you don't think this business is awesome. Go ahead and, I don't know, flip some burgers, or heck, someone needs to be a greeter at the local Walmart. It's not me playing down on that either.
Right. And here's what's funny to me. Even in my worst months, and I don't make quite the money I would like to make. It has fluctuated quite a bit over the years. And and right now I'm doing okay, but I'm not doing what I'm not hitting the level I want. I'm working on that, right? But here's the thing. In my worst years, I was making more than I would have made minimum wage, and I still dictated my own hours. So for me, this is the business. Like, this is the one to be in, because it takes me spending time. Like, I'll literally pick up my iPhone now and write a few chapters or whatever. Like, I can actually produce with nothing but this device now, right? So to me, that's the sign of the best of all worlds for me. Like, that's the business I want to be in, where I can control my own fate. I might have to lower my overhead, but it's pretty cool. You get the books. What was the turning point? I mean, was that your turning point when you met up with what was his name again?
It was Jason Brock, and Jason's just a tremendous guy. He's not so much involved in the business anymore. I think that he knows that it requires so much more work, and I don't think it's what he's willing to invest his time in anymore. And I'd say that my turning point was it was sometime in 2015. And he said to me, I think it was after the Chicago trip, we were having a one-on-one video chat, and gave me exactly, I said to him, look, mold me. I'm your student. I'm paying you good money to make this happen. So whatever you tell me to do, I'm going to do it down to the T. And I did. And there was no black hat tactics. It was really just, putting your nose down to the grindstone and just getting it done. And he said, do this, X, Y, and Z, and you will see. If you listen to me, it'll take you about 6 months, possibly longer. But if you really focus and you hustle hard over the next 6 months, you're going to get your breakthrough. You just see. And I swear to you, it was 6 months to the day that I had this book I put out. And oddly enough, it was a compilation of my best workouts into something called an Ultimate Home Workout Plan bundle. And I just bundled it together. And to be honest with you, I didn't think of this as an individual book. It was just kind of a one-off type thing. And I thought to myself, well, maybe it'll bring me a little extra income. I was needing a little extra scratch at that time. And boom, that thing launched up into the upper echelon. It broke into the top, categories. Broke into the top best-selling categories of its kind, and started hitting number one. And I was really, really happy. And I started to kind of go, wow, this is working. My email list was growing. I was starting to get, reviews without having to look for them. It was amazing. And I said to him, I'm like, man, I can't thank you enough. You were right. And he's like, of course I am, ever the humble guy he was.
That's cool. So, okay, you've got your publishing empire on the grow. When does YouTube start to factor in?
YouTube came in after an interview with the gentleman named D1 Bainey. D1 saw some of my breakthrough success and said, and he saw me doing my whole struggling and everything else. And said, I'd love to get you on my show so you can share just a little bit of your struggles and how you had your breakthrough. And it was after that interview that some people said, why don't you have your own YouTube channel? And I was like, yeah, I should have my own YouTube channel.
Because lots of work, that's why.
Yes. And I'll hopefully summarize that here in just a moment. I had my own fitness channel. And truth be told, I feel like there is just an abundance, and I mean just an overabundance, actually, of fitness channels and dudes not wearing their shirts and showing off their abs, and you're going to be able to get like this if you just take this supplement. And for some reason, it just the fitness business has never resonated with me when it comes to YouTube content creation. And I still have that video channel up there, but I haven't messed with it because I said, you know what I could do is I could teach people exactly what, or for that matter, not even teach, share what I've learned in the self-publishing business, because maybe there's somebody out there who's having to scarf down ramen noodles and frozen vegetables, or even worse yet, maybe cans of just tuna, day in and day out. And I wanted to get it to where I could get people around those pitfalls, just to avoid those potholes. Right. That way they could really increase that. And, there's sometimes you'll see some of these channels that typically will give you these tips and they say, well, I'll give you the rest of the tips if you invest in my coaching.
Join my course or
Yeah. And, and hey, that's great. I'm glad that they do that. And I'm sure, right now I'm in the development of doing an actual course and doing a coaching program, but I don't want the people that can't afford it to go without, because let's just face it, I've been there. I burnt the boats a little too soon. And I got to the point where I was really fearful that if I didn't do something drastic and soon, I was going to have to return to the 9-to-5 job with my head down and really regretting that I actually didn't go all out in this business. So that's why I think I'm probably, sometimes these videos that I'm putting them out, I'm putting it out to my former self. And that's why I'm so transparent about some of the issues. Everything from, when I had hired a ghostwriter for a pen name, had plagiarized work. And I discovered this. And I wanted to share that because I didn't want people to go through the same issues that I did. Everything from hiring on Fiverr to what are the best resources and what are the least, good resources for self-publishing. So that's what drives and compels me forward. And then I started to really think about this as well. And I think you and I started kind of conversing back and forth about the time that I started really going knee deep in this business. Right. I started focusing on really putting out great quality content and getting some other experts and people that were experienced in the self-publishing industry, so I could really increase the learning that people could get from this channel. So I can always say something, but if I bring a Kevin Tomlinson on, or if I bring a Tim Knox on, or if I bring a Carla Marie on, they're going to bring their expertise, and they're also going to bring their unique backstory that hopefully people can identify with and start to develop and grow and build their self-publishing business as time goes on.
Right. Yeah, no, that's we do have similar origin stories, I think, as far as the media goes. I think I always tell people, one of the reasons I started the Word Slinger podcast was basically so that I had an excuse to talk to the people that I thought would know more than I did.
So, good call.
Yeah. Which is, that's kind of like a mastermind kind of thing. Yeah. Are you, so do you see any personal benefit coming to you, in your career in having the channel and having, beyond like an income stream or something like that, but like when you do talk to experts or when you go out, you're actually going out and you do like a weekly, like this week in indie publishing kind of thing. Is that having a positive effect on your career?
It's really hard to tell. Yeah. I know that some of my fitness brand has taken a little bit of a dip because I haven't published any new work in well over a year. Right. And that's my own fault because I've focused so much on developing this stuff. So I just try to keep things afloat for my fitness brand through Amazon marketing services and Google AdWords, things like that. So I'm continuing to bring in traffic because I've got enough of a backlog that as long as I can, keep throwing a log on the fire, I can probably keep going on and on. I also have an assistant that helps manage my website as well as my email list, as well as a little bit of social media. So I can't really honestly tell you for a fact if my presence on YouTube as a self-publishing advocate, I don't like to say guru or expert because I'm farthest from being an expert. I think if I'm 20 or 30 years into this business, then you can call me an expert. But right now, I would just say I'm a self-publishing advocate. So it's really tough because here on one hand, I've got a fitness brand, and people can easily find it through Dale L. Roberts. Okay, that's great. But there's a different audience when it comes to self-publishers.
Right.
And a vast majority of the people that I've met so far are fiction self-publishers. They're not thinking about, let me clean up my nutrition, or let me do a great workout and get myself into great shape. Now, there is a small percentage of those people that probably are going over there. And there's also the other percentage of people that probably look at this and go, oh, what's the secret? Let me buy his book and I'll find out the secret. What's making things work? Trust me, I went through that myself. And so no, I don't think the YouTube channel does much significance as far as raising that brand awareness. If I had it to do all over again, I probably would have focused on either doing a fitness YouTube channel so I could build that brand a lot quicker, or build that self-publishing brand through writing. That way, that would have grown bigger. I imagine in due time, I probably will produce some nonfiction books based on self-publishing and some of my experience, but it's nowhere near on my plate right now.
Right. Well, and you've got all the YouTube content that you could cannibalize for a book to make things a little easier. I mean, you've already done most of the work.
Yeah, actually, I have tons of scripts. I very rarely script anymore. The only thing I script these days are the reviews, because I want to make sure that I don't say anything improper or misquote somebody.
Right.
But for the most part, I try to close caption. And we're starting to go into like the YouTube territory, but I hire rev.com. That's rev.com. What they'll do is with the video content, it costs about $1 per minute. They'll go in and close caption all that. And the nice thing is they provide you with what's called an SRT file, which is where all the closed captioning is at.
Right.
And you can literally download that and turn it into a text file, and then convert that, copy and paste it over into a document and create it into a book. It would just take probably quite a bit of editing, but there's no easy editing. You're the second person to mention that to me. Joe Russo, one of the Joe and Kate Russo of We Are the Russos, has been on the show a couple of times now. He actually recommended that same trick, and it's actually got me to a point where I think I might try. I don't know what I'm gonna do yet. I've got my whole audio version of the podcast, like 150 plus episodes, right? And I don't have video for those. So I was thinking, well, maybe I could like create some sort of filler video or something, that plays over that. But I don't know why anyone would want to watch that. So I don't know what to do. But I was thinking I would do that just to grab the transcripts to make it easy to do transcription. But, that's so true. And it's a brilliant way to do business. I mean, because you already, you had said in the interview with me on my channel, plug, that you literally wrote a short story while waiting in the line of a roller coaster.
Right.
And that speaks volumes about what you can do. Now, see, unfortunately, I don't have nimble fingers, so I couldn't. I'm not skilled enough. In fact, there's a good reason why I've got a stylist. And even then, the stylist doesn't really do me any good. So what I've done actually, and you'll love this, is there's actually the Google Voice on here. And I'll open up Google Docs on here and I will talk into it. And I literally, it's all you need to do is just get yourself trained to speaking articulate and really knowing, of course, you got to say punctuation, but knowing exactly the words and how to say them. And eventually when you start to edit these type of documents, you'll know, okay, when I say background, I need to make sure I really enunciate that. So that way Google Voice doesn't mess that up. But, that's one of the cool ways that you can do things. And then, the other way is just kind of like what we're saying here is record video or even do your audio and then just have somebody else do the closed captioning for you. Or even, Rev, I know, actually even does things beyond closed captioning. They actually will just provide you with a full transcript, because closed captioning will give you the timestamps and it's actually coded for video. Whereas if you just want to get a transcript, they'll do the transcript and you can, pull out all the timestamps and things like that. So this is a, cost-effective way if people are kind of on the fence about, well, I don't want to mess around with Dragon Naturally Speaking, or I don't want to mess around with Google Docs with the Google Voice thing. You can literally just get somebody to transcribe. In fact, I've actually got a book out, and it's called The Consummate Fitness Professional. I literally did that all through Blog Talk Radio. I just was broadcasting it for a few people, and I downloaded the MP3 files. I sent it over to a person on Fiverr. This has been a while. And I think all together, it cost me about $35 to get the full transcript done. I went in, took a little bit of time to do some editing, and bing, bang, boom. That thing pulls me in a few bucks per month. Nothing big, nothing to write home about, but it's enough to say, hey, look, let's go get a cup of coffees throughout the week here.
Well, I actually had pitched this idea several times to people over the years as a content strategy. But if you start with video, you can create hundreds of products from video interviews, for example, which is something I had intended to do. There's some overhead involved, right? And I think now it's actually a lot easier and a lot less expensive to do this. But start by doing a whole bunch of video interviews. Get those transcribed, get the audio pulled from it. Now you can do a YouTube channel, a podcast, audiobooks. You can do textbooks, ebooks, and print books, that sort of thing. There's just no end. You can take that information, bend, fold, mutilate, mix and match. If I interview 100 people and ask them a set of 20 different questions, now I've got 20 different lines of development I can follow. So if you want to put the time in, you could develop hundreds or thousands of products from one set of interviews.
Absolutely. You ain't too far off the mark. And something to kind of maybe bring a little bit more value here to that particular conversation here. Here's the really cool thing. Let's talk Amazon for just a second. We both know that they are the online juggernaut. They are an unstoppable force. And what Amazon wants, Amazon's going to get.
Right.
Here's the deal. We know that we can do Amazon Kindle. Okay. Mm-hmm. We know that we can do KDP paperback or even CreateSpace. Mm-hmm. We know we can do things like Audible or even any of those things. So there's 3 different ways to self-publish your work. You bring up a great valid point of video. Video is very much tapped into here, but the problem that we have is it's over here on YouTube, or it's over on Vimeo, or it's over on all these other different platforms. Here's the deal though. And not too many people realize over the last couple of years, Amazon snuck in something called Amazon Video Direct.
Right.
And here's the biggest opportunity that people have in front of them. This is how it works. It's essentially like Kindle Direct Publishing is to video.
Right.
It is Amazon's answer to YouTube. Mm-hmm. Here's the deal. You know how to index your stuff, okay? How to index your stuff is publish more work. You publish more work. I'm going to publish this. Dale L. Roberts brand goes up. I'm going to publish this ebook. I'm going to publish this paperback. I'm going to publish this audiobook. It's going to go up. Well, how else are we going to be able to do it? We can take that same brand and put video over on Amazon Video Direct. Here's the really beauty of it. And I'm going to just really summarize Amazon Video Direct. There's about 4 ways to get paid. People can buy your video. They can rent your video, they can watch it free with ads, or they can watch it with Amazon Prime for free. I'll kind of jump past all this stuff. Let's just look at Amazon Prime for free, or even like the free with ads.
Right.
In the United States alone, on .com, if somebody watches your content, for every hour streamed, you get roughly 15 cents per streamed hour. Not bad, right? Mm-hmm. So if you really start to pick up and you start to do really good, this is awesome. Now, I don't want to go too far down this path. There's a good reason why I want to do this, because we already know that there's 3 ways that we can be able to publish our books. Now we officially have a 4th way. We have a way that we can do it, and it really will work in favor of the nonfiction writer.
Right.
Fiction, you got to probably be a little bit more creative, be it a fireside reading of your book, or even hiring an illustrator to walk through it. Right. Or even just sitting down and reading your chapter. The sky's the limit on this one. Actually, there is no limitation. So we officially have 4 ways that we can do this and raise our brand on the Amazon, in the Amazon ethos, and start to really grow things. And I think that's probably one of the metrics I tested out most recently about, I would say 3-4 months ago. I posted up a handful of videos on green smoothies that was based on my book on green smoothies. Mm-hmm. Well, what'd you know? I started getting more purchases across my brand. It started to raise just a little bit. That's why I said, YouTube, I don't know that was, creating that. because there were so many other things that were going into play.
Right.
And that has raised the brand. So hopefully that helps you out just a little bit. And I didn't, dominate conversation on this one, but Amazon Video Direct, telling you, early adopters, the people that get in now,
Right.
in the next 5 to 10 years, it's going to be big. Right now, Amazon Video Direct is like the Wild West was back when Kindle publishing was coming out.
Right.
7 or 8 years ago, where just pretty much everyone and their mother was putting they could smear poop on a piece of paper and then like become, a 10,000 air,
Yeah. So do you think that platform is friendly to this type of content, like, interview format and that sort of thing?
Absolutely. A good friend of mine, Ben Gothard, actually has already published quite a few of his interviews with other entrepreneurs. So he doesn't just focus on self-publishing like you and I do.
Right.
He focuses on entrepreneurial things. And what he did was he tries to repurpose a lot of his content. He even took his interviews, turned them into book format, into audiobook format, into paperback format, and then he put them over on Amazon Video Direct and onto YouTube, which is completely okay right now, according to Amazon guidelines. And the big catch is you have to have closed captioning, but we already kind of discussed exactly how you can be able to get closed captioning. So Ben went through and painstakingly, rather than hiring out Rev or any other service, I think he went through and actually did the closed captioning through the YouTube's automated closed captioning, and then just went in and made corrections. Now, mind you, some of these interviews are about a half hour to an hour long.
Right.
But he uploaded it. Now, I've never asked him financially how he's doing for it, because that's just kind of an awkward thing. Like, hey, how much money are you making from that?
Right.
But it is definitely a great idea, to break ground over there. And early adopters, I'm saying right now, early adopters are going to be handsomely rewarded over the next 5 years, because Amazon's serious. If they want to have competition against YouTube, they're going to do it. They went and bought Twitch for a ridiculous amount of money for a good reason. And I think that this is just the early signs of what they're going to do with Twitch to adopt it into their full system. And I think Amazon Video Direct is going to have some kind of hand in on the overall growth of the relationship between Twitch and Amazon.
That's pretty awesome. All right. Well, something to watch anyway. I'll be checking it out. And I kind of knew that was going to happen eventually. Amazon had a video market of sorts. And so I think you're going to start seeing some interesting things happen. They're sort of also following some of Netflix's model of encouraging people to go out and create original programming, and it's going to be interesting to see what happens over the next few years. All right, man. We're at the end of time now, which is remarkable. But I do appreciate you taking the time to come back on, man. I know this is round 2 for us, but maybe I can save that original interview and make that some bonus content.
Excellent. That sounds good.
All right, man. Everybody else, thank you for hanging out with us, and definitely check out Dale. Where can people find you and your work?
People can find me at selfpublishingwithdale.com, or you can even go to YouTube and you just search up Self-Publishing with Dale, and you'll be able to see my pretty little mug against like a yellowish type background. Make sure you click that subscribe and turn your notifications on to get all my latest videos. I feel like I'm recording a video right now.
There you are. I was about to say, man, that has the intonation of something that has been well rehearsed. And so,
yes,
so
you wake me up out of dead sleep, and I'm just like, don't forget to hit the thumbs up. And like,
exactly.
My wife's like, what are you doing?
All right, everybody, you'll find links to that and more in the show notes, of course. And if you're on YouTube, well, go immediately and find Dale's channel. And you can, by the way, subscribe and like this channel, hit the little bell icon as well. Just throwing that out there. If you're listening to us in audio, you're missing out. You need to go check out the YouTube channel. Go see our beautiful mugs. But at any rate, you're probably hearing the groovy bridge music right now. You may dance in place at will. I'll see you on the other side with some housekeeping and other notes. And thank you so much. Love each and every one of you. See you next time. All right, that was my interview with Dale Roberts. I hope you got a lot out of that. I did myself. And it's interesting the community that has grown up around indie publishing. There are all these people out there just creating content and tools and resources. And it's how you get companies like Draft Digital or, Damon Courtney's Book Funnel or, Johnny Andrews' author platform Rocket. You get these cool businesses that grow up around this industry. But the odd thing about these businesses is that almost everyone I know who started something like this has done it not just for profit, although profit is there. They are looking for revenue streams. They are looking for fame, riches, and glory, of course, but they're also out helping the indie authors. And that's, as an indie author, I appreciate that they're there. And frankly, I know how much work goes into this stuff. They deserve the money they get. I mean, there are certainly those out there that are going to take advantage and try to swindle people or whatever. In my experience, they don't last very long in this community. Some of them stick around. Some of them somehow gain a foothold and they never quite let go. But the savvy indie publishers that I know, and I know a lot of them, they spot this stuff and then they go out and they talk about it. They say such and such company ripped me off. Such and such company took advantage of me. Author beware. And then there are those we've actually encountered. There is a guy out there, every time he sees a post from us, he writes crooks and swindlers and that sort of thing on the Draft Digital feed on Twitter, which I don't respond to because why should we? You will have to be the judge yourselves, honestly. If you don't like something we've done, we will gladly do everything we can to make things right. But we have rules, and the sales channels that we deal with have rules. And if you are going to violate the rules, then you got to deal with the consequences. I live in a world where you can literally do anything you want, absolutely anything you want, as long as you're willing to live with the consequences of your actions. So do what you want. Do what you gotta do. I also live in a world where the best things that come your way come because you care about everyone around you. You care about your community. You care about your fellow man, your fellow woman, and you take care of each other. That Zig Ziglar principle, which you've heard me say so often, you can probably repeat it right alongside me, but you can have anything you want out of life if you're willing to help enough other people get what they want. And that's what Dale Roberts and Johnny Andrews and Damon Courtney and Tim Knox and a whole bunch of other guys out there, Mark Dawson, that's what they're out there doing. They are giving, knowing that they're going to receive something in return. I see that myself. I was talking to Dale after our interview, and I said, here's some trouble I'm having. My books do well. The thrillers are doing well, but it is a new genre for me, so I'm essentially starting over. I kind of closed the doors on the platform I had built with my science fiction and fantasy, and I opened new doors for the thrillers. And there is some growth there, but it's taking time, right? And I'm not making the kind of income on book sales that I was making before, which is fine as well. What's also happened is my income dropped slightly because I closed down my copywriting business. And Draft Digital has been great for helping me kind of keep the doors open, food on the table, and that sort of thing. And as I try new things, so I've been very blessed in that I have this great company that's allowed me personally to shift directions in my career, take on a whole new path, take on a whole new philosophy about my career and my work. Try something new and see it through to the end and see if it's going to succeed. And frankly, I have the resources to help it succeed. So for me, Draft Digital has been this tremendous blessing. I make no secret that I'm a Christian. I believe God does these things, puts these things in our lives, the resources and opportunities in our lives. If we are looking for them, that's a scriptural thing. Look and you will find, seek and you will find, knock and the door will be open to you. If you're looking out for those opportunities, they come your way. That's the way I live. That's the way I believe. And our concept of the golden rule is also something we get from Christ in the Bible, which is to do unto others as you'd have them do unto you. You live this way, whether you're a believer or not, I'm telling you, good things come your way. Incredible things, incredible opportunities you never dreamt of. My books do not sell at the level I want them to yet, but they have been steadily growing to that level since I shifted gears and started writing thrillers as my mainstay genre. And they've gotten that way not because of any fancy marketing tricks, not because of Facebook ads. I barely run Facebook ads. I barely run any ads. All the growth that has happened in my writing career right now has come from this keeping my eyes open for opportunities, helping other people as much as I can, going out and finding, learning and growing as a author, but being a resource myself. So if you're out there struggling, that's my best advice for you, is to start looking at how you can contribute to the success of others, and success and opportunities will open up for you. So there you go. And some people may not think that way, may not believe that way, and I completely understand. You're welcome to offer a counterpoint, and I'm willing to discuss it. So make sure you're reaching out to me. Okay, announcements and updates. We are trucking along on the It's Just One Thing at a Time with the Wordslinger podcast redo. I'm having to transfer everything over manually, as you may know from following other episodes. And also, we went on vacation for a while, so that delayed. I've been traveling a lot with conferences. Kara and I actually went on vacation to Colorado Springs last week. Spent a week just kind of tooling around. We found a lovely little suburb of Denver, I guess, or it's on the outskirts of Denver, called Lone Tree, which we were not looking for, but was a beautiful place. We really were intrigued by it. It's kind of an urban feel. It's right there on the, you can get on the Metro light rail, by the way, something I took as a sign because of my Citadel series. But it's beautiful. It's beautiful. We've always loved Denver. We've always loved Colorado, rather. And Denver is a city. It's like Houston. It's got its ups and downs. It's got its scene, and it's got its its downside or whatever. Colorado Springs, same way. Beautiful area, region surrounding it. I spent a day writing at the Broadmoor Hotel, which is anytime we're in Colorado Springs, we spend at least one day at the Broadmoor. If you've never been, take the opportunity. It's well worth it. It's beautifully kept grounds. The hotel itself is cool. I wrote in the hotel bar for a couple of hours, and it's literally called the Hotel Bar. So go find that place. We ate at the what is it? The something bee, Golden Bee. We ate the Golden Bee. We ate lunch there. Where they throw little bee stickers at you that stick to your clothes. It's better than it sounds. So, but anyway, we did that. We did a whole bunch of other things, and of course, I hung out with my good friend Nick Thacker. We spent a day together, and had dinner together and that sort of thing, and that was one of the highlights of the trip as well. So, but Kara's got family in Colorado. I've got some connections in Colorado. We've always just loved it there. So, that's not so much an announcement as a recap, of course. Coming up, I think I've mentioned this before. First I'll be in Oklahoma City for the Christmas. Close to Christmas. I'll be in Oklahoma City around the 17th, like the week prior. And Karen and I are going to kind of make an event of it. Ostensibly, I'm there to hang out with Draft to Digital for our Christmas party, for just to kind of catch up. I haven't been there in a few months now because of all the conferences and that sort of thing. So there'll be some working in there. But if you want to meet up, if you happen to be in the I've got Colorado Springs on the brain. If you happen to be in the Oklahoma City area and you want to get together for dinner or otherwise just kind of hang out and chat, just let me know. There will be some evenings in there when I will be solo, and I'm always looking for something to do that isn't just sitting around the hotel room. Now, come weekend there, my wife's going to be there, and all bets are off at that point. Beyond that, we got the Christmas holidays and everything coming up. Nothing super fancy planned, but I do have an event coming up in January where I'll be in San Francisco for a few days. Trying to get my wife to join me on that one as well, because that'd be a nice, over the weekend, it'd be a nice little break. But other than that, no major events coming up on the horizon. But I'm happy I'm going to be doing quite a few interviews and talks and chats online, so you'll want to make sure you tune in for that. Answering mostly questions about Amazon, etc. So that's pretty much what's going on in the word slinger world right now, and I'm trucking along in the latest book. It's called The Girl in the Mayan Tomb, and I think you're going to dig it. I've kind of backtracked a little to add in some new scenes, new chapters that I feel flesh things out a little more. This one's taking a little longer than usual, but it's also, I think, going to be a longer book than usual. I'm kind of experimenting, you know me. I'm experimenting, finding new ways to do some things, playing around with some things. So it'll be interesting to see what comes out of it. I'm excited about this book. I'm very excited about it. I can't wait to release it. The cover looks amazing. I'll do a public cover reveal as I get closer. And I think you're going to enjoy this one. So if you haven't already, go pick up my my other thrillers. I'm staring at a stack of all of them right now. I bought copies of each of the 3 full-length books to have. I was going to take them with me to Colorado Springs, but they got delayed, and so they got delivered after the trip. But pick up the Quello Medallion, the Atlantis Riddle, and the Devil's Interval on Amazon right now on ebook, or you can pick up the print editions as well. So check them out. Leave me some reviews. I hope you dig it. But beyond that, we are past the hour mark, and I want to make sure you get on to a happy, safe, healthy weekend. God bless each and every one of you. I love all of you. I hope you are having the best success in both personal life and career. For the indie authors in the crowd, keep going. It's worth every minute you spend on the page. And if I can help in any way, let me know. Take care of yourselves out there. I'll see you next time.
Word Slinger.